Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever State of the Schools event hosted by Evanston Skokie School Districts 65 and 202. My name is Marcus Campbell, and I have the pleasure of serving as Assistant Superintendent and Principal here at Evanston Township High School, District 202. And tonight is the first time in our recorded history that superintendents from both districts have taken the stage to share an update on our schools. Our theme for this evening is Building Our Future Together, because as we are truly working together to prepare all students for future success. We are honored to have Evanston's Honorable Mayor Liz Tisdall with us tonight. Can we please give her a round of applause? Thank you, Liz, for standing. Senator Biss is also here with us tonight. I thought I just saw Senator Biss. Where is he? Can you stand and raise? There he is over there, Daniel Biss. As well as many other city officials, aldermen, business partners, and community leaders. We'd also like to recognize our Board of Education members from District 65 and 202 school boards. Would you all please stand as well? We'd like to thank our esteemed colleagues from Northwestern University and Oakton Community College who are also in attendance. I'd also like to give a special shout out to all of the many District 65 and ETHS alumni who are here tonight. Why don't y'all make some noise? There aren't too many places in this country where more than 16,000 alumni from the city's only public high school still live and work in the community that they grew up in. Yes, they can applaud to that. 16,000, that's a very impressive number. Many of you have children of your own attending Evanston Public Schools. Many of you have come back to volunteer and to work in our schools. However you choose to stay connected, we wish to thank you for your ongoing support and commitment to your alma maters. And finally, I'd like to thank the District 202 Communications Office and the staff for coordinating this whole event tonight. They were working closely with District 65 officials to pull this together, so let's give them a round of applause as well. So our agenda for the evening is as follows. After a brief introduction, we will hear opening remarks from a graduate of both school districts, Ms. Jackie Newsom. Then we will hear the State of the Schools address presented by Superintendent Paul Goren from District 65, followed by Eric Witherspoon from District 202. And finally, we'll end the program with a question and answer session moderated by Janet Webb, a former teacher in District 65 and ETHS. Ms. Webb is well known in the community, and I really want to ask, how many of y'all had Ms. Webb as a teacher? I see there are a lot of hands. I've known Ms. Webb since I was 22 and I started working here at ETHS, and I've always admired her leadership and her candor, if you will. So throughout the event tonight, we will encourage you to share your thoughts on Twitter using the hashtag Evanston Schools. And if you're in attendance tonight watching from home, if you are in the audience tonight or watching from home, you can use your mobile device to submit questions at any time during this program. All you have to do is text the word Evanston, the keyword Evanston Schools, all one word, to 37607 to join. Then start texting your questions. Or you can submit your questions online by logging on to pollev.com/Evanston Schools. And for those of you who prefer pen and paper, you can raise your hand at this time, and our student ambassadors will come around, and you can request an index card from one of them, and they will be happy to help you. So if you could just raise your hand if you would want an index card, and our student ambassadors and those bright blue shirts will give you an index card to accommodate your needs. Okay? I just want to do that. Just raise your hand, and they will come around to assist you. Right, so in case you didn't know, there are two public school districts in Evanston, Illinois. District 65 is a kindergarten through 8th grade school district with 18 schools, and District 202 is a one-school district for students in grades 9 through 12. Our public school districts educate students from all over the city of Evanston, as well as students who live in neighboring portions of Skokie. Our district attendance area is home to Northwestern University, Oakton Community College, as well as a variety of manufacturing districts, local and global businesses such as Rotary International, and many faith-based and community organizations. Collectively, Evanston Skokie Public Schools employ more than 2,000 adults, many of whom are from Evanston or live in Evanston, and we work together to educate more than 10,000 students in this community. Over 40% of our students live in households that qualify for free and reduced lunch, and we provide a robust portfolio of special education programs and services to more than 1,100 students through the age of 22. We are proud to be a part of a community committed to public education, and we work hard to ensure that our fiscal solutions will support academic achievement and student well-being for years to come. Our public school system in Evanston is truly a snapshot of the diverse global society that we live in today. Students in both districts come from various cultural backgrounds, representing a large number of countries from all over the world and speaking a number of languages other than English. Students in both districts are from various racial backgrounds, with students of color making up the majority of the student body shown in this slide. And we know that students of all backgrounds and every race benefit from being in such a diverse environment. I hear students every day who are pursuing their goals after high school, either by entering the workforce or attending college. They tell me how unique a public school setting is in Evanston, and how unique the high school is, and helping them prepare to be members of a global society. And I'm proud to introduce one of those well-prepared graduates for you now. Many of these students who graduate from ETHS and who graduate out of District 65, all of us educators and community people, we kind of stay in touch. And this particular student I've stayed in touch with since she's graduated since 2008. Her name is Jackie Newsom. She is a 2001 graduate of Dawes Elementary School and a 2004 graduate of Shute Middle School and a 2008 graduate of Evanston Township High School, where she acted as founding member of the peer jury program, a varsity cheerleader, and a member of the mock trial team. I remember those days of mock trial, Jackie. And after graduating from ETHS with a 4.2 GPA, Jackie went on to attend New York University as a Martin Luther King Jr. scholar based on her observed dedication to social justice and change. She graduated from NYU cum laude in 2012 after serving as one of the founding members of the Black Student Union and captain of the NYU National Award-winning mock trial team. Jackie is currently in her third and final year of law school at the University of Chicago, where she has served as president of the Black Law Students Association in 2014 and as a current career services chair of the Public Defenders Student Group. Jackie has accepted a clerkship with the Honorable Alan C. Page of the Minnesota Supreme Court, and yes, formerly of the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings, for the 2015-16 term. Upon conclusion of her clerkship, Jackie hopes to return to the Cook County area and serve her community as a public defender. Let's give Jackie Newsom a round of applause as I welcome her to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Campbell said, I am a proud graduate of Dawes Elementary School, Shute Middle School. That's right, Dawes. Shute Middle School. I saw Mr. Mack here earlier. He asked for a shout out, so I'm giving it to him now. And of course, Evanston Township High School. As Mr. Campbell said, there aren't too many places in this country where alumni still work, live, and volunteer in their hometown, or have such an immense pride for the schools they attended. Students who attend ETHS come together from public, private, and homeschool experiences. They represent nearly 60 of the world's nations and speak more than 38 different languages. We all come together to be the Wild Kid faithful. If you're a Wild Kid alum, can I get some noise again, one more time? You know, 7 years and 2 institutions later, I still bleed orange and blue. I'm going to make two unequivocal statements tonight, and the first one is this. The Evanston public school system is one of the best school systems in this country. Where else can a little black girl whose parents grew up on the west side of Chicago grow up to attend the number 4 law school in the country? Only in Evanston. I remember being in 3rd grade, and for the first time attending school with students who were mentally and physically disabled. That experience taught me compassion, it taught me advocacy, it taught me the privilege of my abilities. And I have to thank the Evanston school system for that. Where else can, in the 6th grade, you have a math teacher that pays so much attention to you that she realizes when the work is too easy, and she has the resources and the ability to put you in an accelerated class? Only in Evanston. Where else can you have a 7th grade teacher who pushes you to do the best that you can do and tells you it's because she wants you to be able to live up to your potential? Where else can you attend Evanston Township High School and be a part of peer jury, cheerleading, and mock trial? Where else can your cheerleading coach and your mock trial coach help you get jobs throughout your college career to figure out if you really want to be a lawyer? Only in Evanston. Where else can you take all of the AP and honors classes you like? And where else can your black male stay study hall teacher end up being the assistant superintendent of District 202 and the principal of Evanston Township High School? So I promised you 2 unequivocal statements, but that's not true. Today I had an experience that I feel compelled to share with everyone here, and it may take me a little over time, but I heard that was okay. Today I went with my clinical professor to court to represent a client in criminal court. When our client's name was called, we stepped up to the judge's bench. The judge looked at me, and I was dressed similar to how I'm dressed now, and she said, "Defendants are supposed to sit in the gallery. Professor, you know your client is supposed to sit in the gallery." This is an example of what we call a racial microaggression. But it wasn't the first time that I've experienced microaggressions. In fact, the first time that I can remember experiencing a microaggression was in an Evanston public school. I was in 8th grade. It came from my teacher. Throughout my time in Evanston, I've experienced microaggressions. It was difficult to be the only black student in your honors and AP classes, especially when you knew that you weren't the only black student capable of being in them. I say that to say this: Evanston is a beautiful place. It's unique because of its diversity, and we have to make sure that we are dedicated to educating all students in the same way. Our fight song says, ETHS, we will fight. Remember, I was a cheerleader. ETHS, we will fight for you for the right to do anything for you. Anything means preparing all of our students for the future. So today, I encourage all in attendance to continue to build our future together by becoming and helping Evanston become the premier public school system in this nation. Now, it is my pleasure to open up the State of the Schools address by welcoming District 65 Superintendent Dr. Paul Goren and ETHS District 202 Superintendent, my superintendent, Dr. Eric Witherspoon.
Well, I stand here in awe of Jackie Newsom, and I want to, on behalf of all of us in the audience, thank you for your leadership, for your bold words, for how you stood tall today in court, and how you are going to represent all good people in great ways. And it's got to be a little bit because of that Dawes shoot journey that ended you right here as a proud Wildcat. So join me again in thanking Jackie. And as I start tonight's presentation, it really is a great pleasure to be here. I also know that we're joined by many of our teachers and our administrators, our principals from 65, the administrators in 202, and if I may, I'd like to offer them a great round of applause. Because the work that we do in both school districts, in the 19 schools, the 18 that I represent and the one that Eric represents, the work that we do is based on the expertise of our teachers, our administrators, our support staff, the folks who keep the buildings clean and safe, and I can go on, but we are just so blessed with a wonderful workforce that we have with us. So I'm here tonight to both focus on the schools and to celebrate the work that we are doing, and to say loud and clear what a pleasure it is to work with our colleagues here at District 202 at the high school as we support public education in Evanston and Skokie. In our world of District 65, we've been using the phrase, every child, every day, by whatever it takes. And it's a commitment that we have, and I'm sure the high school shares as well, that we have a diverse group of learners that we are committed to. We know that the learners that we serve, from all of the different racial groups and economic groups that we have, really have great potential. And it's both our honor and our privilege and our overall commitment to make sure that we serve every child in our system. The commitment to every day is, again, a tipping of the hat to the wide range of administrators and teachers and experts who are working as hard as they can every single day, day in and day out, in the evenings, on the weekends, to serve the children that live in our communities and to make sure that we provide the best of all services, and by whatever it takes. And by whatever it takes, as Jackie talked about the teachers that she had throughout our system and through the high school who are absolutely committed to the progress that our children have. So I want to say that the state of our schools is strong, and we need to get stronger. And I'm very proud to be a member of the District 65 school community and the school family as we work forward, as we move forward. We've got 10 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 magnet schools. We have several specialized programs that serve the special needs of children. We have an early childhood center. We have special programs that focus on an African-centered curriculum, English as a second language, and we have a two-way immersion program that is in many of our schools, providing a wide range of services for our children. On student achievement, we have 68% of our students who are at and performing at or above grade level in reading, and 70% of our students who are performing at or above grade level in math. We also far exceed state standards, but the state standards are fine, but they're not sufficient enough for the way we think about moving forward in progressing towards being a successful student here at the high school and being college and career ready. 60% of our students are meeting college readiness benchmarks in reading. 57% are meeting the same benchmarks in math. So we can celebrate that for a moment, but that's not good enough. You can do the math. So we have 40% of our students who are not meeting the benchmarks. And when we look very closely at the data and we disaggregate the data by socioeconomic group or by race and ethnicity, we have gaps. We have gaps that we have to address. So our schools are strong, but they need to be stronger. And that's the commitment that we have to every child, every day, by whatever it takes. We are really excited about all of the potential to work together with our colleagues here at the high school and to reach out across the two systems and really have some joint work together. We have an accountability goal that our boards have been absolutely committed to, which is to be able to disaggregate data as I just presented, to be able to provide the type of information that can drive improvements in instruction, improvements in access to courses, et cetera. And the joint accountability goal will result in joint reporting between the two systems on the degree to which our children are on track to do well through their elementary grades, into middle school, on to high school. And we're working on that project right now, but working really hard to be able to understand how to work together as a team. We have a joint literacy goal, and indeed today, colleagues from 65 were with colleagues from 202 in classrooms, really trying to understand the work that goes on in the high school so that we could backward map and say, in order to be a successful student in high school, one has to do A, B, C, D, and E, and that we should be able to provide that in our elementary schools. We have a wide range of other programs. We have a mentoring program right now that's going on between 65 and 202 at Oakton Elementary School, where my children went. My children went Oakton, Chute, and ETHS, and so I know that pathway really quite well. And we have a wide range of other opportunities where the students of ETHS really work hand in glove with many of our students as well. I do want to point out that we, like the high school, recognize that we can't do this work alone, and that there are a wide range of community partners that work with us and for us and help us in the services to our students. And as a matter of fact, in our summer school and summer opportunities, we've been working very closely with colleagues at YOU, at YMCA, at Foundation 65, and the Evanston Public Library. And again, those sorts of services we couldn't do without the help and the support of those who are in the community, who care for and work with all of the families and many of the kids that we serve. We also are, and if I may give a shout out to a couple places, we've been working very closely with Northwestern. And we had, last month, we had an hour of coding going on in one of our schools, and we've been working closely with the folks at Northwestern who work on issues around STEM, science and technology, engineering and math. We've got the beginnings of some analytic projects. We're on the Joint Accountability Report. We'll be working with some of the analysts who are graduate students at Northwestern, and so we couldn't be more happy to embrace the great university that is in our hometown, and to have the graduate students, the students who are working with us. I also, though, want to also give a shout out to a couple other partners who really serve us well. The City of Evanston has been great in its partnership. On those days where we canceled school because of the cold weather, and we can take that question on later on if you want, I received a wonderful call from Wally Bobkowitz, who's the city manager, who before we had made a decision, before Eric had made a decision, Wally and his team at Parks and Rec, Joe McCrae, led by Joe McCrae, were ready to open up the gymnasiums and the centers to help our kids out on a day where we canceled school, as well as the Evanston Public Library was doing the same. So I want to make sure that we recognize the important partnership we have with the city of Evanston. And with Foundation 65. Foundation 65 has been just absolutely wonderful in working with us as partners on issues around literacy, issues around summer programming, bringing arts into the schools, bringing authors in for opportunities. So we are blessed by working with great partners to help us focus on our theme of every child, every day, by whatever it takes. That said, we have challenges and then we have opportunities. We have challenges, as I said before, from some of the data that I provided, that we need to be absolutely devoted to increasing the growth of the number and the percentage of students who are meeting college and career readiness. And again, this is across socioeconomic levels, this is across racial levels, and our commitment, school by school, grade level by grade level, classroom by classroom, is to really pay attention to the goals that we have to achieve at the highest of all levels so that young people can be successful here at the high school. We have to address what I would call the opportunity gap and the achievement gap. So it's about students who have needs, who are from families who are low income, and again, across the different racial groups, including students also with disabilities and our English learners. The challenge and the opportunity, we have fabulous educators who are working in our buildings and across the district. We have fabulous staff. And my goal is to make sure that we retain the best and the brightest and the fantastic staff we have, but we also want to recruit the best and brightest educators to our buildings. We want our staff to reflect the student body that we're serving as well, and that's a deep commitment that I have and that the district has in the future. And we have to pay attention to the district's long-term financial sustainability. At this stage, we are doing fine with our finances, but in the next year, 2, and 3, we're concerned about having some budget shortfalls, and depending on what happens at the state level, with things like pension reform, what happens with the income tax. We can talk to Senator Biss about some of these issues at some point, which we do, and we appreciate his leadership. He's been very accessible to all of us. But the long-term financial sustainability is something that we have to provide, and we are concerned over the next couple of years, depending on what happens at the state level and what happens with our own resources. A challenge and an opportunity. I know many people have questions about the new Common Core state standards and the PARCC exam. And so I want to talk about it as a challenge and an opportunity. On the opportunity side, the Common Core state standards, and in the ideal world, and then I'll come to the reality of the world, in the ideal world, to have high-level standards for all kids with an aligned assessment system that gives us data that actually allows us to make instructional decisions, allows us to understand where kids are doing well and kids aren't doing well, provides information that's actually usable for our teachers and for our administrators, is where we want to go. This is modeled after the Common Core State Standard is modeled after many of the great programs that exist in the Western world. So when we celebrate Singapore or we celebrate Finland for doing the type of work that they do in their public schools, the Common Core State Standards as defined and devised is really to raise the achievement level of all children and to have an aligned assessment system. So that's the goal, and that's something that we want to embrace. And indeed, over the last 3 or 4 years, our teachers have been doing professional learning on the Common Core State Standards. Much of our curriculum is based on the Common Core State Standards, or at least aligned to it. The two challenges are, one is that the test, as we know it, the PARCC test, which is to be implemented this spring, I worry, quite frankly, about implementation. We've got a team of folks. We've got our tech people who will handle the computer side of things. We've got our administrators who are readying the school. We've got our teachers who are working to be ready to actually implement the assessment. But I worry about several things. I worry about whether or not the assessment will actually be delivered to us in a timely manner from PARCC and from Pearson, who is the publisher of this. And I worry about what's going to happen in implementation. We're going to be doing a test run of the test in a couple weeks, so we'll have better information on that. But I do have concerns about our implementation. The question comes before us of what happens if families want to opt out. And from where I sit, I cannot condone opting out, but we will be respectful to those families who might consider that as a possibility. But I cannot I have to offer a test. And the reason I have to offer the test is that by law, this test and this part of the Common Core State Standards is really aligned to the funding that we get from the federal government through the state. And so we have about $7 million that we receive from the federal government to our $107 million budget. Of that $7 million, those $7 million are focused specifically on kids who have the greatest needs and allow us to actually do the type of work that we're doing to address some of the achievement issues that we have and to actually build a strong system that is really serving all children. I can't run the risk of those $7 million disappearing. And so that's the challenge here is, the opportunity is a potential great system that can really drive instruction for the future, and the challenges are implementation and the obligation I have to preserve the financial stability of the system. And I'm sure we'll open up for more questions about that when we continue. Broad opportunities. We're in the midst of a strategic planning process, and I invite you. Our first draft of the strategic plan is online, and we've passed out some flyers. And we are really deeply engaged in getting feedback and gut reactions so that we can make sure that we can have a plan that will drive our work over the next couple of years, over the next 3 years, and really make a difference in the lives of kids. We've involved over 2,000 members of the District 65 community, but I want to continue to involve as many folks as we can. And so there are opportunities to provide feedback to us via an online survey. We're going to have 3 town hall meetings next week to actually talk about the plan and to hear people's interests and concerns. And we really look forward to inviting any and all of you to come and participate in this. We've got 5 priority areas. High quality teaching and learning, which is about really how do we focus our curriculum and instruction on what will actually drive the type of achievement that will lead all students to have the success that Jackie has. A thriving workforce, our teachers, our administrators, our principals, and the wide range of support personnel that serve in our system. We want to make sure that we have an absolutely dynamic, engrossing, fantastic place to come to work. And we want to make sure that the folks who are working with us have opportunities for career growth and career opportunity. We're deeply involved in family and community engagement, and we want to pay close attention to those who are not engaged and those who might have even been disengaged by the system, by any of us. And so we've got a set of strategies that we're working on to engage and to really reach out as best we can. We believe in and we want to have a safe and supportive school climate. Built into this is an agenda around both the academic growth of students and the healthy development of kids, the social emotional dimensions of a young person's life as they're progressing through their learning journey with us and into the high school. And we're really excited about that. And indeed, financial sustainability is core to what we do. So we will invite you, all of you, to participate. We've got another month and a half of the strategic planning process, and I look forward to engaging all of you and those of you who haven't been engaged. As I said before, the Common Core State Standards causes us to pause a bit on the implementation side, but is exciting in terms of the possibilities for teaching and learning. We can celebrate District 65 as having such wonderful and unique characteristics that reflect a broad and diverse world, a broad and diverse set of citizens in our 2 villages that we serve. We've got really a group of dedicated educators that I'm so proud of and so proud to be a teammate with. Families who are engaged and active participants, and a real willingness for those who aren't actively involved to actually come with us. And as I said earlier, we have fantastic and partners that are supportive and ready to work. So it is an absolute pleasure to serve as superintendent in the district where my children went to school. And it's an absolute pleasure to serve in a district that is aligning itself and working hard to be great partners with our friends at District 202. So I have a little mathematical equation down there at the bottom of my slide that District 65 plus ETHS equals success. And I fully believe that. And I think the gentleman that I'm about to introduce, and by the way, we have a new website, so you can go see that, also believes that too. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Eric Witherspoon, who is the superintendent of District 202.
And why did I have to follow Paul? Thank you, Paul. That was just great. And I'll jump right in as well to give you an update on ETHS, and then we'll have a chance to respond to some of your questions and a chance to even expand a little bit about the things going on in both school districts. Paul mentioned his own children, and I'll just say thank you for entrusting your children to ETHS. And he's always been very generous in his feedback about the kind of education his children have and are receiving here. I just want to tell you that I'm entrusting my grandchildren to District 65. Two of my 3 grandchildren are in the pipeline, and one is actually in 2nd grade at King Arts. And I can tell you that we are very pleased customers, and are just so excited to have them beginning their educational journey through that terrific school district. But I want to use my time, of course, to tell you a little bit more about ETHS so we can complete the picture of the state of the schools here in our beautiful community. I'll just kind of remind you, and I hope this won't sound too unfamiliar as I kind of summarize it, that at Evanston Township High School, our goal is to inspire a lifelong passion for learning for our students, for our parents, for our staff, and for our community. And we do this by preparing our students with the education and the life skills that they need to be critical thinkers and to become leaders in our society. Jackie Newsom might be an example of that. We do this by providing ongoing opportunities for staff collaboration, for professional development, and for learning, and by bringing our parents and members of our community into our school as absolute partners in education. And we do this by providing a variety of opportunities for learning outside the classroom. And we do this through the arts, and some of you have been in this glorious auditorium, and whether it's been our concerts or our theater productions or other student performances, I know that you've experienced that, also through sports and other activities. And we do this by providing an array of supports to help our students build a vision of what it takes to be successful in their endeavors both today and in their futures. And that's what we strive to do every day at ETHS. I'm going to share some pretty powerful information with you tonight. I think you're going to be pleased. There's no question I'm going to highlight a lot of the really great things about ETHS. But that doesn't mean that I won't also be acknowledging the challenges we face, because I know we do. And you know, I'd like to stand here before you and say the job is done, but the job isn't done. But as I share this powerful information tonight, I think you're going to get a reminder, though, of what this school is already doing for young people and the strides that we've been making in recent years, because it is pretty darn exciting. And Jackie, I think you're going to be pretty pleased when you talk about those microaggressions and some of the things that you observed to get a fuller picture of what the school is doing today, and how we've addressed many of the things that you remember running into that had to be very disturbing and very disconcerting, even though you're the first to admit it is a really great high school. But that doesn't mean we couldn't become better, and it doesn't mean we can't become better. Just a little bit of a reminder, because I think it's always fun as a community to remember this. Something that's not even on the bullet, but Mayor, I'll add this one because I think people need to know this. This is an award-winning city and community, and I hope you keep track of all of the news that goes out about our community. And one of them that I want to stress is, according to Money Magazine, this is the 4th most educated community in America. And yeah, isn't that something? And I say that for a reason, because I believe that education has been a priority, if not the top priority of this community for a long, long time. I think we have something generational going on here. I think it is amazing to think that 16,000 alums still live and work in this community, and how many of them have come here so that their own children can go to these schools as well. But if you look specifically at the high school, it is a comprehensive high school. We have a 62-acre campus here. We have about 1.2 million square feet in this building. That, in all honesty, we've measured it, translates into at least 3 miles of hallways. And I don't know if I'm counting all the steep stairwells that the kids and the faculty have to climb every day, as well as that. And to give you an idea, last week, be new, and until somebody proves me wrong, I'll just keep saying it. I believe this is the largest school facility under one roof in the country. So this is no small endeavor. We truly have 21st century learning spaces, and that's not bad for a school that opened in 1924. But we actually offer 4 libraries and media centers. We have 3 theaters. We are one of the only high schools in the country with a planetarium. We have our own greenhouse. We have our own edible acre. I noticed we didn't even list here. We have our own outdoor learning center. We have our own student success center. We have culinary kitchens that are absolutely state-of-the-art, industrial kind of kitchen environments. We have smart labs. We have an automotive lab for automotive technology that would absolutely knock your eyes out. Even dealerships tell us they wish they had in their dealerships what we have in our automotive technology area. And yes, we even have a geometry and construction lab, and we build houses in our spare time here at ETHS. Our athletic facilities are amazing. We have our Burton Aquatic Center. We have two pools in there. We have an indoor field house, and we've invested quite a bit in that in recent years to make sure that that is up to today's standards. We have our beautiful Beardsley Gym. It's really out of the mold of decades ago, but I would hold it up as, to me, that's still the ideal gym. That's how a gym in a high school should look and should feel. But that's okay, because it's just one of our 15 gyms here at ETHS. And we have dance studio, gymnastics center, adventure education. We have our own rock climbing lab, for heaven's sakes. We have low ropes and high ropes. I've never been up on the high ropes, by the way. And then, of course, we have our Legier Field and our other outdoor facilities. So it is quite a campus, to say the least. But what goes on inside of it? Well, we offer more than 250 courses, and of those, we have 143 honors level courses in this school. We offer 29 advanced placement courses, and really, we offer the significant advanced placement courses for our students to take advantage of. Currently, and I say that because it's always a moving number, but we right now have 87 clubs and activities, and we do offer 31 different sports. We have more than 75 ongoing partnerships with Northwestern University alone, and in fact, you can even visit our Northwestern University partnership office that is adjacent to my office, and what that provides for our students in Evanston is just beyond belief. This is like our city, like District 65, this school is constantly garnering state and national awards. We have award after award for our fiscal reporting, for our budgeting, for our fiscal condition. We win awards in just about every area, whether it's debate or mathematics or in the fine and performing arts, you name it. This school is garnering top awards all the time. Not too long ago, a little over a year ago, the College Board named us as one of the 8 Inspiration Award winners, Inspiration Schools in America. Let me give you an idea on that. We couldn't even apply for it. The College Board looks at their data and what schools are producing. They decide who are the Inspiration Schools, and out of all this country, this high school is one of the Inspiration Award winners by the College Board. In addition, not bad, is it? Most recent data that we have, the most recent class we have data for, class of 2014, achieved the second highest ACT composite score in the 42 years of record keeping on the ACT at ETHS. And if that doesn't impress you enough, the class before them scored the highest. So the last 2 years out of 42 years are the highest ACT scores in the history of Evanston Township High School. And that becomes even more amazing when you realize that we, because it's required by the state of Illinois, but we too believe in it, and we're going to do it now that they don't even require it, we give it to every single junior in the high school. So even the young people at the bottom of the class are considered, are averaged into that composite. And we're still, with every student accounted for, still have had the 2 best years in the history of this school in ACT. We're also breaking all records in AP exams, advanced placement, and in fact, this past year, we had 64% of our juniors and seniors taking at least one AP exam. That is the most students in the history of the school. 2 out of every 3 students in this school last year were taking, juniors and seniors, because it's that level, were taking advanced placement courses, and we also set a historic high. 3s, 4s, and 5s are the highest scores you can get. We had the most 3s and 4s and 5s in the history of the school are in our advanced placement exams. And talk about including students who maybe didn't feel they belonged before. When the class of 2014 walked across the stage just this past June, 73%, forgive my math, I'm going to call that 3 out of 4, 73%, 3 out of 4 of the students who graduated from ETHS last June had taken 1 or more advanced placement course while attending this high school. They were taking college-level courses in this high school. Historic. We've never achieved that before. And on the Prairie State exam, which is now obsolete, but it was the state exam a year ago, there are 12 subsets of performance indicators, and our students improved in 8 out of 12 of those subsets, which again is quite an accomplishment, because just staying equal to the performance the year before is an accomplishment. Improving in 8 out of 12 is amazing. Our 5-year graduation rate now stands at 90%. And you notice what I said, 5-year graduation rate? Because this is what we're about too. The most official calculation is a 4-year cohort, and we're very good at that. I think we're 88% at that. It's very good. But this school believes so strongly the students need to stay in school and graduate. We go out and get them to come back if they need a 5th year in order to graduate. We don't want to let go of them. They know that, and we're up to 90%. And get this, our most recently reported dropout rate of 1.1% is the lowest dropout rate in the history of Evanston Township High School. We continue to have an amazing number of National Merit semifinalists. That is a tradition at ETHS. This class of 2015, 21 finalists, and then another 8 National Achievement semifinalists. This is astounding, and by the way, that number 2 is, the 8 is the highest in the history of the school, and the 21 plus the 8, the 29, is among the highest. But again, we've got a pretty rich tradition of National Merit rankings. Let me show you this one. Anybody who's heard me remark at any event knows that I say this every time, so forgive me, but you know, we can't hear it enough. Last spring, we got the national rankings of the best high schools in America. They ranked 22,000 high schools. I want to explain, that's not all the high schools in America. There are probably closer to 40,000 high schools in America. But 22,000 made the cutoff to be considered in the ranking. And of those, you can see up here on the screen, the New U.S. News and World Report put us basically in the top 2 to 3% of the 22,000. If you go to the 40,000, we're like in the top 1 point whatever percent. And the Washington Post ranked us also in the top 2 to 3% of the nation. Well, again, with my fabulous math, I always remind our students, remember that means about 98%, we're outpacing about 98% of the high schools in America. Here's the fun part. We were a little disappointed to see that New Trier was about 2-3 ranks ahead of us in the U.S. News and World Report ranking. But a week later, we found out we were several ranks ahead of New Trier in the Washington Post. And I would just direct you to the Washington Post. We also are collaborating with District 65 in measurable ways. I'll go a little faster now, but we do have a scholars mentoring program at Oakton School. We hope that expands over the years, but this is where our students go to Oakton School and serve as mentors and tutors for young people. I think K to 3 actually at Oakton School. Paul already mentioned that we're doing a joint literacy goal together for the two districts. We have really worked together to enhance the transition experience from the middle schools into the high school. And it's primarily from 8th to 9th grade, but we even reach back to the 7th and somewhat to the 6th graders because we really want to make that the best transition possible. We have a lot of collaboration going on in the arts. Recently we have District 65 Orchestra Day here at the high school. We have Band Day here. In sports and activities, we're really reaching out and working together. And we're also working together on shared financial and sustainability solutions. And we do a lot of coordination in purchasing, whether it be insurance or whether it be in goods and services. We're always on the lookout for how can we work together to get a bigger bang for our buck. And of course, both districts are engaging with our stakeholders. You know, if I'm exaggerating this a little, I think it's true, but I'm going to say more than ever before. And I think we probably are. I mean, there's just a concerted effort to work together and engage our stakeholders. Well, I said I don't want to pretend that we don't have challenges, because even with all this historic achievement that we're getting at ETHS and all the strides that we're making, and by the way, next year when I report, I'll be able to report even more students in advanced placement classes. I mean, I already know the answer, but we always wait till we've completed a year to do it. But we do have some several challenges, and the ones that I want to lift up because I think that they're significant, because it's how we all work together on them, that we really still need to be assuring that every student who comes to ETHS is supported and successful here and prepared for college and career. That fabulous graduation rate, it still says if 90% are graduating, at least within 5 years, doesn't mean some don't graduate a few years later. It still says, but 10% aren't. We've got work to do. We are striving to address the well-being of all of our students and their individual needs, and I'm going to highlight real quickly here in a second the kind of thing that we're doing, but that is always a challenge, and I would suggest to you that it is harder to be a teenager today than ever before within the memory of any of us. Teenagers have a lot of challenges, and reaching out and serving their well-being is hugely critical to us. We are challenged by addressing the disparities in achievement among our students. Unfortunately, there still is a predictability, and there's often a predictability based on race, and there's no excuse for that. You cannot come up with a logical reason that says that's okay. And so we're really working on that, and so when we have students where there are, for example, disparities in reading, we know that we have to really double down, triple down, quadruple down, whatever it's going to take to address those disparities. Belonging belonging in classes or whatever. We have to make sure that every student at ETHS knows that he or she belongs here and belongs in advanced placement classes, belongs in honors classes, belongs in the best learning environments that we can provide. And when we create that sense of belonging, we create an educational environment where children will be nurtured and thrive even more. We have to be nimble as we face financial uncertainty, and there's a lot of it. And I'll tell you, it's not generated locally. Taxpayers, you're doing your share. But we have some real issues in the state of Illinois, and it ultimately, we have to deal with so many of them here at ETHS on the local level. We are challenged to generate more additional funds through our foundation so we can keep up with all of the capital needs here at ETHS. I mentioned that our original core of the building is 1924. You got to keep upgrading. You got to keep creating 21st century environments. And then, by the way, you got to do tuck pointing, and you got to replace roofs, and you got to replace heating systems, and on and on and on and on. And quite frankly, we're trying very hard to generate other outside funds so that we can make sure we keep up. And Paul, you mentioned it already, we're going to have to address rapidly growing state and federal mandates, and right now, PARC is on our radar screen, and we're very concerned about it. We do, though, have a lot of opportunities. If you've not been paying attention, I'm not going to explain it tonight, but please get tuned in to Cradle to Career, which is a collective impact initiative in our community. The city of Evanston is part of it. District 65, Paul just chaired a meeting that we were at this morning. District 202, Northwestern University, in fact, North Shore University Health System, United Way, but actually we have 27 very committed partners. We're trying to grow it. We're going to be reaching out to you. Just when you hear about Cradle to Career, tune in and start to think how you can become part of this collective impact initiative that I think is an opportunity to change outcomes for all the youth in our community. We also have opportunities as we continue to enhance our student-centered supports. Some of you are already familiar with things like our Wild Kid Academy. By the way, on the Saturday before final exams, this would always be one of the highest, by the way. We had over 800 students voluntarily come on a Saturday morning to study and get help on their studies prior to the exams. 800 kids got up on a Saturday morning and trooped over to the high school voluntarily. But we also have a freshman advisory study halls. I think the more you learn about those, the more excited you'll become. And we're doing ICAPs, which are individualized career and academic plans. And we're actually committed that we are developing, as we speak, individualized career and academic plans for every student in the high school, and starting their freshman year forward, they'll be working on their own individualized career planning. And we know when you're 14, 15, 16, things will change. It's flexible. We get it. But we're trying to help them understand how you plan for your meaningful productivity in your life. And of course, we continue to work on our progressive curriculum, such as all the advanced placement courses, the geometry and construction that I just do. I'll get that off of here in a minute, and the restructuring we've done. And my next to last slide is, I just had to share this with you, the American Educational Research Association, which is, please believe me, the educators in this room can tell you, is the gold standard in the United States for educational research. The AERA Association is actually sponsoring a day-long visit to Evanston Township High School, and I love it. A public school whose progressive restructuring initiative works to provide each child with access to honors level classes. Thank you, AERA, and we can hardly wait for them to get here and see that it's for real. Finally, I'll just kind of wrap up. Yeah, thank you. We're excited. And finally, I'll just give you a reminder. I hate for you to get distracted through these profound comments that we're making, but if you haven't already downloaded our mobile app, you might want to sneak your smartphone out without turning up the volume and download the ETHS mobile app. You won't believe how much information will be available to you at your fingertips on a daily basis. If you for the iPhone users, you want to go to the App Store. For the Android users, you want to go to the Google Play Store. But wherever you want to look for it, I encourage you, get that mobile app. It really is worth having on your smartphone. And with that, we're going to invite up Janet Webb. She's already been introduced, and she's going to serve as our moderator for the Q&A, and we're going to turn this part of the microphone over to you, Janet.
Good evening, and I'd like to thank our superintendents, Mr. Campbell, and our wonderful alumni speaker, Jackie Newsom. As you've been told already, I am Janet Webb, and it was my great privilege to teach both in District 65 and 202, and I am happily retired after a 35-year teaching career, but I decided to come back tonight and serve as your question and answer moderator. Mr. Campbell mentioned earlier the process in which the questions were submitted, but I'm going to go over that again real briefly for you. First, a number of questions were submitted prior to this event via the Google moderator. We have those questions in hand, and some of them will be responded to this evening. If you're in attendance tonight or watching from home, you can use your mobile device to submit questions. Simply text the keyword Evanston Schools, all one word, to 37607 to join, and then start texting your questions. Or you can submit your questions via the internet by logging onto the web address shown on the screen. For those of you who are like me, old school, they passed out index cards for you to write your questions on. If you did not get an index card, please raise your hand, and one of the student ambassadors will come and give you a card. It's very important for you all to remember that not all of your questions will be answered tonight. We're not going to stay until tomorrow. However, both school districts will compile a list of your submitted questions, and they will post responses to those questions on their websites in the coming weeks. Okay? So I'm going to start with the questions that were presented earlier this week. Your first question: what amount of resources, time, money, and manpower is being spent in the district preparing for the park this year? What instead would all those important resources be allocated towards if this wasn't the case this year?
Want me to go first? Or go ahead.
I'll go first.
Okay.
We've implemented over the years the ISAT exam, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And so we've had test coordinators, our principals, our assistant principals, our teachers are focused on and have had lots of experience in implementing statewide standardized tests. So in some ways, in terms of additional resources, it's the same amount of resources this year that we've spent in the past to be able to implement the assessments. The second piece, though, is there is a bit of additional work because we want to make sure that we're ready when the test comes. And so we have our technical IT folks who are working to make sure that we gig up all the classrooms that are taking the exams school by school, and that we can troubleshoot when the assessment comes so that if something breaks down. So we do have an additional amount of resource spent on that. What could we spend the resources for if we weren't spending the resources on this? Let me start by saying what I said earlier about a great assessment system. If we have a fantastic curriculum that has an assessment system that's aligned, that delivers information that can make a difference for teachers and administrators and for families and kids on where we are and where we're going based on world-class standards, that's a happy day. And so I'm not adverse to actually having a robust assessment system that actually can provide that. I think the concerns and the deep concerns that have been raised not only in our community but across the state of Illinois and across the country is, will this assessment system actually do all that delivery? And I can be honest and say we don't know yet. And I think there are a lot of people around the state that have pushed quite vigorously to say, why not have a year of either low stakes, or why not have a year of piloting and implementing? And that's an argument that I know I am comfortable, Eric, I think you are too, I won't speak for you, but I think we are, can easily make that voice loud and clear that if we had time, that would be great. On the other side, we're obligated to provide the exam. And we're obligated to provide the exam, as I said earlier, because of the resources that are aligned to the giving of the test. And I run the risk of about a $7 million difference if indeed the state auditors were to come forward. So are there additional costs? Yes, there are additional costs. Are there different ways that we could actually spend those resources? The answer is potentially yes, but what I want to have is a system that can really be aligned to what we're teaching so that we have the information so we can make good decisions.
And my answer is a little different, although we're totally in agreement on the issues that we're dealing with. But when I hear the question, you know, how much you're spending on all this, from a high school point of view, way too much. It's absolutely alarming, and we'll at some time even do some calculations. But for example, we have to disrupt the whole school more days than in the past for testing. We're going to have 2 days for Park alone, but they no longer will support ACT, which is the most important test we give. So now we got to get a waiver and take an extra day of school off to give the ACT. And they've said, and they'll only committed for 2 years to even paying for that. They won't even say if they'll continue to support that. So the most important tests that we have, they're taken away and giving us a test that only 8 states in the nation are now committed to giving. And I'm wondering what kind of norming and what kind of validity that's even going to have for us. And we're going to have to train every staff member in the school because of the kind of testing and the kind of technology that is required. And like in every testing setting, the person administering it has to unlock individually every student to begin the test. And at the end of every testing session, they have to lock them each individually. And if somebody's computer screws up, we have to get a technology crew in there to figure out why did it. And by the way, when they gave the pilot, the schools that piloted it, the kids couldn't even go back. If they wanted to go back to an item, they couldn't. And sometimes when they went back, their computer froze up in the middle of the test. So I got major concerns. It's taking a ton of my employees' turns. And I can't believe that we are being mandated to disrupt the education of our children for a testing battery that I even have questions about how useful it's going to be. That's the high school.
Our next question comes from Jim. I'm very pleased to see the increased coordination and cooperation between District 65 and District 202. My question is, what 2 or 3 changes will both superintendents sponsor that will improve student achievement, and when should our community see these changes enacted?
Oh, by 10 o'clock tonight, I think. In Eric's points and in my points, we talked about some of the joint work that we're already doing. So we're doing work on joint literacy. And that means what's the journey from the earliest grades through middle school into high school, and how can we actually do that sort of alignment? So we're actually doing this work, and our teams today, we're working together hand in glove on learning what goes on in the instructional processes here in the high school, and then what does that really mean if you backward map and go back into the elementary schools and the middle schools. A second place where we're working together is on mathematics. And we actually, I think, also had a meeting today with the math team from 202 and the math team and the STEM team from 65 to really talk about alignment of the courses and where we actually can build a map that says in 6th grade, if you're on the course to take a certain amount of courses here in the high school, what do you need to have? What skills do you need to have, competencies at the 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade level, and then beforehand. So and from what I tell from the meeting, there was a lot of really good, engaged conversation about how we actually do that sort of alignment work. So those are two issues that indeed we are working on as we speak right now.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that I'm glad you went first so I could think of a couple more.
Yeah, there we go.
So we really are going to do something together, and you really can expect to hear it. Also, Cradle to Career I mentioned, and again, we're very closely committed to that, and our school boards are very committed to it, and I think you're going to see some really significant collaborations and collective work going on there involving the two districts. And also the 5 essentials. We're working with Chicago, University of Chicago Impact, and they have an amazing school improvement model that can really provide a template for addressing improvement in school districts. And both districts, in fact, is your window open now? We've opened our window. 5 essential survey. Please check out our website. Parents in particular, be sure. I mean, we've got captive audiences here for students and staff, but parents, be sure that you, community members, get online and give us feedback on the 5 essentials, because the two districts are going to share training and a model on how we utilize that within a framework of school improvement.
And this survey and these data really help all of us understand to what extent our schools are organized for success, and to what extent in that organization we can lead to improved student achievement. And the University of Chicago has actually given basically pro bono resources to 65 to actually work in deep dives in 5 of our schools to actually unpack the data. And those are lessons learned that we'll be sharing with the high school as well.
Okay. Your next question is from Tracy. May we have an all-district read initiative, such as the One Book, One Northwestern has every year? Can there be a committee of stakeholders and students from both districts to choose a book that is culturally relevant, diverse, and interesting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You understand? This is so timely. You want to talk about what we just signed off on yesterday officially?
We just had an opportunity to actually work with our colleagues at the city and with Evanston Public Library, who's actually working on an initiative like this where we would be sharing the book. What's the...
Into the Beautiful North. I haven't read it, so don't quiz me, but we can all Google it, Into the Beautiful North.
And so we're able to work with our friends and colleagues at the library and start the type of initiative that's suggested by the question and move forward. And it's a wonderful idea. I know the city of Chicago does this, many communities do this. You know, in the joint literacy work, we know that children have to learn to read so they can read to learn. And we know that that's actually, these are 21st century competencies. This is just the obvious part of running school systems. And our work has to be focused on improving the broad literacy skills of all children. And so any which way that all of us as a community can drop everything and read to our children and read over and over again and talk about the work that we're doing, whether your kid is a 3rd grader or a senior in high school, is really essential. So the answer is yes, okay. And we just signed up for it today. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's called the Big Read Grant or something like that. We don't know if we're going to get it, but 2 things I want to say. Evanston Public Library, thank you. Yeah. Really the spearheading of this. And 2, all of us who have signed off so far have made a commitment. If even, I don't want the grant funders to hear this, even if we don't get it, we're going to figure out how to do this. Fair enough. Don't tell anybody.
The next question is from the audience. I've been reading that there are real issues with school financing in the state of Illinois. How might these issues affect districts 202 and 65? And what can we expect to see in the future?
So from our end, there are real issues in the state of Illinois. Right now, our projections for our next fiscal year is that we'll be relatively fine. The following fiscal year, we face some deficits that are somewhere about $3.5 million, the following year about 4, the following year about 5. And that is folding in what we might predict to be what will be pension reform, where the cost for pensions will shift from the state agencies to the local agencies, i.e. from the state to the districts that we represent and that we work hard on. So we've got some of that folded in. There's been legislation that was floated earlier around school equalization under the broader public policy comment that as citizens of Illinois, we don't equally fund our schools, and there are some schools systems that really do suffer financially, and that as citizens we should be paying attention to that. That's right from a good public policy point of view. As you've probably seen in some of the forums that Eric and I have been in with Senator Biss and several other folks, what the ramifications of that sort of legislation will have an impact on us that can be, again, in the millions of dollars as dollars are redistributed across the state. And then finally, there's the income tax. The income tax just went down at the turn of the year, and it's subject to whether or not the new governor and the new legislature is going to do any sort of changes. But as the revenues go down by the income taxes that we paid, which might be quite attractive for many of us who have paychecks, those revenues going down will have an impact on the budgets, and that's not folded into our predictions. So there are financial clouds that are hovering over the districts, and that will cause us to, again, under the flag of being financially sustainable, at some point we may have to make tough choices of what we're going to do and what we might have to cut back.
Yeah, and just to expand on what Paul said, because we're both facing the same kind of issues. On one hand, I can report, this is like the good news, bad news. The good news is at the moment, District 202 is very financially strong. We have a AAA bond rating. We have built our cash reserves to where they need to be, and we are living within our budget every year. The bad thing is that the state of Illinois could destroy that overnight. And really in two ways. One is last session they had something called Senate Bill 16, which is the equalizing one. And the problem is they're not doing it like other states that have done it. It's not a new problem. This has been around in Illinois for years. And when the states basically bankrupt, now they're going to solve it? I can't get over it. Other states, when they have the money, put more money into education and build the foundation. They build up. But instead, this is a Robin Hood approach where we would lose $2.5 million so it could be redistributed in other parts of the state. And I want to say this to all of you. Yes, we pay a lot per pupil in this school. District. We're very fortunate. But you are the taxpayers are the ones footing the bill. You're paying 85% of the cost of education in this community. And the districts that would get our money, in many cases, are not even doing the full levy that they're allowed to do by law. So they won't put in the local effort, and this community that does the maximum local effort is going to be a loser. I got a problem with that. And the second one is... And the second one that really worries me is the state is in a pickle because of the pension costs. But I will tell you this, it's a two-pronged thing. The employees/district have to contribute, and the state. You can go back over the financial records. This school district has never missed a payment and has never failed to pay every penny we owe. Wouldn't you wish the state of Illinois could say that? That's why the pension is in such trouble. And now we got to worry because it's highly likely that when they get against the wall, because they've talked and talked about it, that they'll do a pension cost shift and shift to us the cost of what they failed to put in all these years. And the local taxpayers will also have to come up with that. And that's another $2 million that would come right out of District 202. So yeah, I'm concerned. And I'm concerned because of what could happen from the state of Illinois.
And I think it's fair to say that in both entities separately but together, our obligation is to be transparent, to be able to provide the information, and the obligation that we have with our boards is to be transparent and put the information forward in the community as we know it. And so just trust that we will be doing that.
Okay. This next question is a short one, but I don't think your answers will be short. How safe are our schools?
Very.
Very. Thank you for asking. And it's our primary obligation is to preserve the safety day in and day out. And that starts at the front door. It starts with the training that we have for our administrators. It starts with paying deep attention to everything that's going around the school. As a matter of fact, my first week on the job, my first meeting that I had was with the police chief. And I took a member of our team, John Price and I, and we went and we did a briefing to just know the community. I've lived in this community for 17 years, but know the community in the deeper ways that we know. We have ways to lock down the school. We have ways to pay attention to when things might look unsafe. We are deeply focused on the safety. All of our schools have safety plans, but more than just paperwork, our principals and our assistant principals are devoted to focusing on creating a safe environment. And that's just in terms of the building itself, let alone the culture. So when we say very, and we are ready and poised to do everything that we can do to preserve that safety.
I'll need my team to make sure I get the right percentage. But students were surveyed a little over a year ago, and they were asked to agree or disagree with statements like this. I feel safe in my neighborhood. I feel safe like going to and from school. I feel safe at school. Guess what the highest level of safety was? They felt safest at school, at this school, and what percentage? 84? 84% of our students rank the safest place they feel in this community is at Evanston Township High School. I think that says a lot right there.
But, and that said, we depend on all of the community. And so if there's issues or concerns that you might have, or something that makes you suspect something, please let the principal know, let my office know. We will work rapid fire fast to do what we can do.
Okay. Your next question. What are both districts doing to promote and prepare our students for STEM careers?
That's interesting. We have created a STEM department, so bringing together in a coordinated way the work that we do, especially in science and math, and then actually thinking about the engineering and technology and coming together. So literally this afternoon, this is a nice question, I got the STEM vision that Jess Reyes, who's our STEM director, has been working on with a team of folks who are on the mathematics side and on the science side. We know that there's such exciting stuff going on here at the high school, and so how we do that alignment work is part of our next agenda. And then we've been working with community organizations. I'm hosting a meeting next week, sort of under a larger umbrella of learning ecology. What happens when you learn in school and out of school, and how do you actually combine those components of the learning journey to move forward? And it's all focused on STEM. So the YMCA is actually paying close attention to this. YOU is doing some work. Northwestern, we've been teaming with 2 units at Northwestern who do STEM education around the country. And so we're being very proactive in building an intentional way of focusing our science and math curricula, and then working with partners and working with the high school to actually move forward.
Yes. And maybe 3 or 4 real quick things to give you an idea of what we're doing. We have been aligning our science curriculum with national science standards, and we're really making sure that we're doing heavy-duty work in having very strong curriculum in all of the STEM areas. The E stands for engineering, and we have a whole sequence now of pre-engineering courses here at ETHS besides the science, the technology, and the math. That's pretty exciting. We added 4 brand new state-of-the-art STEM labs at the high school that opened at the beginning of this year. Northwestern University science and STEM faculty helped us design it to make sure that it really was state-of-the-art. And that was 3 completely refurbished labs and a net gain of a 4th. STEM lab. Just one last example, and we're working with Women in Science Education Group, and as a conjunction with Northwestern University. There is a group at the university, Women in Science Education, and they're now working and mentoring young women at the high school because we are so determined to increase the number of females in our STEM courses as well. We are determined to grow it.
And again, we both have to pat our colleagues at Northwestern on the back. They've been very helpful, and they're really willing to come and play and build the STEM curricula across K-12.
Okay. What type of vocational programs are available for students that do not plan on attending college?
Mm-hmm. I probably ought to more or less take that one. And I want to give such credit to Shelley Gates, who is the chairperson of our Career and Technical Education Department. Yay, Shelley! And her whole staff and the administrators and teachers who work with her, who share this vision. We really have made an enormous commitment in the last several years to career and technical education. We offer 7 different certifications now. You know, you can be certified in automotive technology, in culinary arts, in pharmacy technology, this kind of thing. But besides the certifications, I mentioned geometry and construction. We don't have a certification. We're not certifying carpenters or electricians yet, but you know what? They're out there building a house, and we're trying to. You know, I mentioned the pre-engineering. This isn't necessarily all college preparation. We also are preparing students for non-college technical careers in engineering-related fields. So there's just a ton of work going on there as well. And we're also out there preparing our students through their career and technical planning to be ready for the jobs that await them in the 21st century. So we have an unbelievable commitment. If anybody says to you, well, ETHS is only a college prep school, well, you know what? We are probably the best college prep school in the world, but that's not the only thing we do. And what we're doing to prepare students for the workforce and careers is pretty amazing. And it's been, for me, just exciting to be part of the team and watch this grow.
And from our end, the real push is around college and career readiness. Our board has made a deep commitment to make sure that we're not just at the state level, but we're at the high bar in terms of preparing young people so that they have options. So there's no excuses. It's not as though we will look at any child and say, well, you're not going to be ready for college, so we're going to do something else for you in 3rd grade or 5th grade or 7th grade. We're poised and prepared to be preparing young people for the high school and beyond, where they can actually have the options that they can grow in and really thrive in.
Okay. And I forgot to mention something, but this is a quick one. And this summer, thanks to the ETHS Foundation and our other planning and our school board's emphasis, we're going to build a state-of-the-art advanced manufacturing lab at ETHS that'll be open next fall. So.
Not all students in Evanston will be able to attend AP or honors classes, and indeed, some will need intensive supports to attend school, both in high school and at Park School, due to intellectual and physical disabilities. How will 202 collaborate with 65 to ensure the needs of this population are being met?
Again, it's a little bit of part of the last answer, but not necessarily the last answer. And that is, when I say that our challenge is to make sure that we have a school that is designed for every student who comes here to get the support to be successful, we mean it. And one of the most obvious, of course, would be our serving children with special needs. And I got to tell you, we have an amazing special education department here, and their determination to do the best for each child and to have very high expectations, but high expectations in terms of how do we make sure that each child is going to find success in life. And by the way, many of our special needs children go on to college, but maybe they don't all. What matters most is, can we design a school that says every child is worthy, every child can have a very exciting future, and we will try to individualize the individualized career plan, and academic plans are a good example. We can design a program for every child to maximize those outcomes.
So every child, every day, whatever it takes. And as we think about that, we also have a fabulous core of special educators, social workers, therapists, occupational therapists, psychologists, who work day in and day out with the broad range of children who bring a broad range of issues to school, and we are focused on success, and that's it's to the credit of our educators in each and every school to be able to identify needs and to address those needs and to address them in a respectful way that helps a young person and the young person's family progress well.
And they work closely together. Our staff on both schools really do collaborate a lot.
Now, this is the final question for you. Can both superintendents commit to more and more regular joint events like this one?
As long as we can start sleeping the night before. But of course, the answer is we should be looking for more of these opportunities. Yeah. Let me just say, since I'm the veteran here, it has been an absolute joy to begin this relationship with Paul and his team. And I just see it growing and flourishing more every single day.
I appreciate that. And from our end, thank you. And from our end, not only is Eric a great support, but the team that you have, which is your senior administrators and your teachers and your department heads, it's just a fabulous opportunity to find alignment across the systems. We serve all of you. You are our families, you are our community members, and we are committed to providing the type of world-class education that we believe we're doing and that we will do in the future.
Thank you.
Once
Thank
again,
you very much.
I'd like to thank our superintendents. I'd like to thank Mr. Campbell and Jackie Newsom. And there's one other group that I would like to thank. We talk about how wonderful Evanston is and our schools. None of that could be possible without you. It is our community, our parents, our grandparents, all of you in this audience who have committed to being engaged and involved with the process that continues to make Evanston a place that is not just wonderful for education, but just for life. So thank all of you for coming out this evening. We appreciate your participation. Good night.